Okay, class. So in today's connecting conversation, we have television personality Kalen Allen, which is super exciting. Thank you so much, Kalen. We really appreciate it.
Of course, it's wonderful to be here.
I'm so pumped to have you. For students who somehow may not know you, you are a correspondent on the Ellen Show. You've had guest spots on several television shows. In 2020, you made both your movie and music debut, I believe,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And he also has, a huge social influence following on social media and YouTube as well. So I'm gonna kind of start at the beginning with some questions,
Okay.
and we'll see where it takes us.
All right.
Cool. Okay. So at the beginning, yeah, your career kind of launched into the spotlight when some of your videos went viral and they caught the attention of several celebrities. And at the time, you were still in college, correct?
Correct. Yes. I was in my first semester of my senior year at Temple University in Philadelphia.
Excellent. Okay, so can you tell us a little bit about how you balanced finishing that education while lightning was really striking for you in your career?
Well, so the first video was made in November of 2017, and I was already moving to LA by January of 2018. And so when I found out that I would need to move to LA, I contacted my university and I said, it is important for me to finish both of my degrees. I have a degree in film and I have a degree in theater because I was on a full ride scholarship. And so I did not want that money to go to waste. So we had an LA Study Away program that was based out here in Los Angeles. And so deadlines had already been passed and everything. They already had their group of kids that were coming and they allowed me to join. And so I moved out here and was able to go to Ellen during the day and then go to class at night.
Wow. So that really worked out well that it was part of your school's kind of plans and programming anyway.
And it's funny that specific thing. And when I think a lot about things that have happened in my life in the way that they've happened, I believe that I am divinely guided. Somehow everything just tends to work out in its favor, no matter what. So I have a little bit more trust and faith that somebody is in this universe guiding me along a journey, and I just have to stay steadfast on that journey.
Nice. That's nice. Okay, cool. So it seems like as all this was happening, you made a really deliberate and focused effort to make sure this was not a 15 minutes of fame situation.
Absolutely.
And that's really impressive. So can you tell us some of the things you did to demonstrate your longevity and presence in the industry so that folks would know, you were here to stay?
Yes. Well, I think the first thing that I did is the original videos, because they happened basically overnight, it was important to me to create a YouTube channel that housed all the videos as a library so that it would create the illusion that I had been doing it for a while. So I branded the entire Kalen Reacts thing. It wasn't just me. It was like I made a logo, I made an intro card and all that so that it was presented as an actual product that people could bet on and trust, So I think that was the first way that I gained the trust. Also, the second thing that I was able to create longevity was that the original job that I was offered by Ellen was that I was supposed to do the videos from Philadelphia, that I wasn't necessarily supposed to move to LA. I made the decision to move to LA because I knew that if I was in Los Angeles and if I was in their face all the time, they would, give me more opportunities. And I think I even furthered that opportunity by asking for a desk at Warner Brothers. Then I was given a desk. So then I was there every single day. And that's how my job just elevated and increased and, made me a bigger entity within the brand. Now, as far as the audience goes, I think the way that I've been able to sustain my longevity is, one, I am doing something that I love to do. And it's also rooted in authenticity and being genuine. But also, I knew that there were a lot of multiple other things that I was able to do. And I didn't reveal all of me all at once. I spread out all of my talents so that I would always have a new trick to pull out of my sleeve, and I gave people doses of myself, gradually. So it wasn't just I didn't giving you everything that I have, and I think even when it came to the food videos, once I hit a point of being burnt out from the food videos, I took a break. And then I would only get food videos every now and then, and that would reel people back in, And so I think that's kind of how I was able to sustain and build. And I think also I worked extremely hard. I created an entire team. I got an agent, I got managers, and I told them, I said, I want to build an empire. I said, I rarely say no to anything. I accept almost every single job, and I am always willing and ready to do anything that I need to do to make sure that I sustain a career.
Yeah. So I want to ask a follow-up about that. As all of this was super new to you, at least in the beginning, how did you make sure that you were signing contracts that were in your best interest? And how did you choose people to surround yourself with that would truly be advocating for you while you were getting used to all of this?
Great. So the first contract, I actually negotiated myself. That was the only one that I did myself. And then I got an attorney. Well, first I got an agent. So I went to meetings with William Morris, WME, CAA, and ICM. Those were the three. I didn't meet with UTA. Those were the three agencies that I met with. And CAA was first, and then I went to WME, and then I went to ICM. And each agency wanted me really bad. They really wanted me to sign. And I ended up going with ICM because they also repped Ellen. And because they repped Ellen, I felt like that was already in the family, and that would be an easy way to, communicate and work through things because everybody already knew each other. Then when it came to getting a publicist and getting a lawyer, I looked at who their clients were. And I looked at if they had clients that, kind of matched my same field or my same interests. And then I looked at also the things that they were booking for them and being like, okay, well, they're in the same line as me. So that's what we'll do, And then after that, for when it came to my manager, I signed with 3 Arts Entertainment, and they rep Chrissy Teigen, Kiki Palmer. And it was very specific that I wanted to be with them because those two they're very much personalities. And I think they have done an amazing job of building their career in today's day and age, And so that's why I was like, that's who I want to go with. So really it was me. It was me actually looking to see who they surrounded themselves with. And if they surrounded themselves with people that I want to admire or that I thought were doing amazing things within the industry, and then saying, okay, then that's where I want to go.
Yeah, that's smart. That's a really good way to do it. Cool. Okay. So my next question is kind of looking through your social media and your videos, your presence is really positive and uplifting and kind. And so I'm wondering, did you spend time thinking about how you wanted to be viewed and create your brand, or were you focused on trying to be authentic to just see where that takes you? And then also, how do you decide what the public gets to see and what they don't as you build a brand that is based off of just you?
I think when it comes to how I present myself on social media, I think that's just who I was, that's just the way that I operated in the world. That's just, I'm just very optimistic. I try to be very positive. I try to look at the brighter side of things, even when the world is weighing down on my shoulders, I also base everything that I do based off of how it makes me feel. And so like, if it doesn't make me feel like light, or if it doesn't bring me joy or happiness or peace, then I don't really participate in it. I think that's even representative in the way, in like the accounts that I follow, you know? Um, and I think for me, I just think authenticity is the only way to do it, really, because I think if you don't do it with being true to yourself, you will lose yourself. And if you're trying to be somebody that you're not, that can only, a script can only go for so long, and then once you reach the end of the story, then you don't know what's next, and then you don't know who you are. And I think also with how crazy this industry can be, if you don't know who you are, this industry can swallow you up and chew you and spit you back out, and so you have to have a strong sense of self in order to be able to do that.
Yeah, I agree. I think too, if you're in it for the long haul, you can't start off pretending to be somebody else because you're gonna burn out so fast.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And so you talked about this a little bit, so this is kind of another follow up. But you're so diversified in the media, and you didn't roll out all your talents at once. You've gotten into a lot of different things. So can you talk about how do you open those doors for yourself, and who helps get you through them? So when you decide, I want to make an album, and you have never done that before, right? How do you use those folks you've already surrounded yourself with to make that happen?
I have a very much of a kind of like Nike just do it kind of attitude. And I just
Mhm.
am like, well, how do we make it happen? So for the album, because I was taking voice lessons at the same time because I knew I wanted to be on Broadway. So I
Mhm.
turned to my vocal coach to make the album. And so then we worked together and we got a producer and we got people to come into the studio and we recorded the album. Then when it came to the video part of it, a friend of mine, Julian, who I had met from a photo shoot. I knew that he did video work and we had also done a Beyonce tribute video together. I was like, can we make this movie musical for my Christmas album? And then we got together and he pulled together a team. So it was really using my resources and mainly using my friends, the people that I trusted and I knew would do amazing work, you know? So really pulling them into the space and being able to do that. But I do live in a space of just do it. But not only do I just do it, but I make sure that it is of quality, you know? And I think that's why the things are successful because it's not just like, oh, Kalen wants to be a singer now and I'm gonna try and sing. No, that's not the case. You know, it's like I am presenting something with intention and purpose. Everything that I do has intention and purpose. It's not just because I want to do it. It's not just because I want more fame or anything like that. It's because I believe in this and I trust in my own talent to deliver something of quality to my audience.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay. And so I guess, with that mindset, can you tell us about a time where maybe you got feedback you didn't like or a door was shut that you wanted open and kind of how you needed to push through that?
I think that probably happens the most often when it comes to acting auditions because
Mm,
I haven't done it in so long. And to act is a muscle, you know, and it's also very different to act on film than it is to act on stage. And primarily all of my experiences on stage.
mhm.
So I get very nervous when it comes to acting auditions and when I have to send in tapes and stuff like that because it makes me so uncomfortable because I don't do it regularly anymore. You know, my last show was like 3 years ago, like 3.5 years ago was the last time I was ever on stage acting. And
Mhm.
so recently, though, I've been really working on focusing on taking care of the craft and growing the craft and practicing more and reading more scripts and stuff like that to get better in that. You know, every no to me isn't a case of like, oh, I'll never be able to do this. It doesn't diminish my spirit at all. In fact, it says, well, how can I work on myself or how can I train myself to be better? You know, yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Okay. And then I guess because you've got so much going on, can you tell us a little bit about how you divide up your time? I know one of the questions I always hate is like, what's your typical week? Because they're always so different. But you've got contracted obligations in YouTube filming and content creation. And so what does that all look like for you in terms of hours spent in and what your days do look like a bit?
So right now, I've just recently went on hiatus from my publicist just because I worked so hard in 2020.
Hmm.
And I think I realized that everybody else, you know, was in the pandemic and most people just weren't working or weren't working as much. And I was like working 10 times as hard. And I kind of was like, well, why don't I just take advantage of this time that we don't have to do so much? So I went on hiatus, but usually if I'm doing press, I try to do that all in one day. I
Hmm.
try to just make one press day. I shoot every Tuesdays and Thursdays. That's when I shoot. I shoot personally Kalen on Tuesday and I shoot OM Kalen on Thursday. Fridays and the weekends are usually to myself, specifically Saturday and Sunday. I don't do any work at all. And that is very strict. I really only work from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. It's like if it's not in that time, I'm not checking emails. I'm not doing any of that. If it comes to me after that time, I probably won't see it, you know? So
You
it's
help me
really
with that.
right. I know it's really creating boundaries because the thing that I learned in 2020 is that I felt so exhausted all the time that there was no energy left for myself, you know? And I think you have to take care of yourself because I believe is that if you aren't happy with yourself, then you can't make content that makes everybody else happy. You know, so I think it was me creating new boundaries for my life and figuring out like if I wanted to read a book and I would read a chapter every night and something like that, or not working as much or not checking my phone when I wake up in the morning, you know, prioritizing and figuring out what makes me feel the most at peace.
Mhm. Cool. Okay. I like that. And it's tough. I can't do it.
It
It would
is
be
tough.
nice.
It is tough, especially when you are around my age and you have this idea that you have to always be working all the time because you have to be able to afford a life. You have to be able to enjoy a life that is comfortable for you and you feel like you just have to go nonstop, 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 nonstop. And I realized that I was overworking. I was doing work that necessarily wasn't adding to who I was. It was just extra work just to say I had done it. And so I got rid of all the fluff and started to do only what I had to do instead of trying to always prove myself.
Yeah, I agree. When I first graduated college, and I won't tell you how long ago that was, in addition to the full-time job, I got my master's full-time and started teaching 3 or 4 classes each semester because I was just like, I just have to work until I die because that's what my parents did, and so
Right.
that's what we do.
Right.
But as you sort of settle into who you are and what you want your life to look like,
Yes.
some of that clarity really comes in,
Yes.
and makes a difference. But I think it does help to set it up for yourself in the beginning too, so that you build that work ethic.
Yes.
So I guess my next question for you would be, so this will be shown to students probably in their first or second semester of college at a small community college in mid-Massachusetts. And so they're all interested in pursuing different careers in media. Some of it is audio design, some of it is film and camera work, some of it is game design. And so I guess my question would be, what would be advice you give them to prepare themselves now to work in media? What can they be doing to better prepare for work in the field when they've graduated?
One, it would be experience, to get out on the field as much as possible and to take as many jobs as possible. Two, especially if you plan to move to Los Angeles, is to realize that sometimes it takes the stairs to get to the top. And you have to be willing to lose everything in order to get anything. You know, if you are not willing to give everything that you have for your dreams and your aspirations, more than likely it won't happen for you. You know, I think third of all, you have to realize that this industry is tough and it does a good job of always trying to make you feel small. So you have to enter every room as already that you know who you are and you know what you stand for and you know your morals and you know your ethics and you know what you will participate in and what you won't tolerate. And that is, you have to stand true to that, and you can't allow anybody to tell you who you are or try to let someone tell you what your worth is.
And so this interview will actually be, I think, the 7th in our series of connecting conversations, is kind of what I'm calling them. And a
Mhm.
big highlight from folks in every industry of media that I've talked to so far is the importance of networking, because you never know who you're going to meet where. And so can you speak to a little bit about how that has helped you in this process, hopping from different TV to movies to music? Was there somebody you met somewhere that opened an opportunity you didn't realize, or they'll speak a bit to the importance of networking and the importance of the impressions that you're making on the folks that you work with?
So I have a very different type of point of view when it comes to networking, specifically when it comes to LA. I think when I what I stress to people is that they ensure themselves that the networking that they're doing is genuine, and they are connecting with people that are real and authentic and that really want to help them, and also realizing that network does not mean that you need to network with the CEO. That can be parallel as well, and linear networking, I think is what they call it, and making sure that you network with your peers as well. For me in LA, the reason why I get very tricky when it comes to networking is because in LA, every conversation is about who you are and what you do. And I tend to, if somebody comes up to me and the first question they ask me is what I do, I tend to tune out, because to me, that's not genuine. You're more interested in my productivity than who I am as a human being. And so I say, when you are networking, the first thing that you should be connecting to is who they are as a person. What are their morals? What are their ethics? What do they believe in? What are the type of things that they like to participate in? Then from there, think about, okay, well, I like this person as a person. Now, would I like to work with this person? And then go from there. I surround myself with people that are genuine and authentic and that care, not people that just want to clock in and just want to get money off of me. That's not the way that I roll over here.
Yeah, I think I mentioned it in one of our earlier interviews. Was the one of the best things that I learned when I was interviewing for an internship after college, that I interned at a casting agency, and they had said to me, "I could teach you how to cast. I'm looking for somebody I can sit next to 40 hours a week." And
Yeah,
I think that that was a really important piece of advice, that you just, if you're going to be doing something that often, you need to like the people that you're surrounded with
absolutely.
almost as much as the job. And so I think that's important. And I like your note too about, you don't have to network with the CEO. You know what? You have to be as nice to the janitor as you are to the boss,
Hmm.
because they're the ones who know everything anyway at the
Right.
end of the day.
Exactly.
Very good. Okay. And so I guess in my last few minutes, my question for you would be: is there anything you would have done differently at the beginning of your career, knowing the things you do now? It sounds like you hopped really fast on branding, which I
Mhm.
think is absolutely crucial. Is there anything you missed that maybe you wish you had done sooner?
Mm, it's a hard question. I mean, I mean, in anybody's life, there are things that we probably wish we would have done differently, or or would have navigated a little differently. But I also live in a space of just thinking that everything is necessary, that
Mhm.
everything happens for a reason, that this situation turned out the way that it needed to turn out in order for me to get to where I am. And the reason why I say that is because when I first moved to LA, I struggled a lot because I felt like I had given up my dreams of being a serious actor to now lay in my bed and talk about food. And I didn't really learn to appreciate that until I booked the movie with Seth Rogen. And then
Mhm.
once I did that, I was like, oh, if I wouldn't have done that, then I probably wouldn't have ended up here. And I wouldn't have gotten this opportunity, or I wouldn't be on this list for these casting directors. And I think that was the realization that everything happens for a reason, and that you have to trust each stepping stone on the journey. And even if you do have something that you wish that you would have done differently, the next time it comes up, you can do it differently then, or you can just reroute yourself to go in the way that you want to go.
Mhm. That's good. That makes me think of one more follow-up question for you, and that is, because because your business is you and who you are, do you find it difficult to step into acting roles, where you may have to have a different persona? How do you flip the switch for things like that? It must
You
be
know,
difficult.
it's funny that you asked that question because I think a lot of times I forget that most of the time when I'm called into a room, they want me.
Yeah.
And sometimes I just go straight into being that character, you
Hmm.
know? And I think I have to often remind myself that they're looking for me within that character, you know? So I love though character roles. I love to be able to transform and become somebody totally different, you know? So I love things like that. I think that's where I do the best in, and that's where I thrive the most. I think a lot of times when I get scripts and I read it and I'm like, well, this is basically me, like American Pickle, like that character is me, you know? So it's like I find it hard, and I think I tend to overthink it because I'm trying to be a character instead of just being me within the character, you know.
Interesting. Okay, cool. And then is there anything else that you think would be important for these students to hear as they consider entering any part of the industry?
I think what's important is to understand that when you enter the industry, your wants and your needs may change. You know, what you want to be may change after you get to experience different roles in the different, different categories within the industry. And you may want to toy in different places. And I always encourage that. I always encourage everyone to be able to dip their toes in every single, facet of the world. Now, and I do strongly say that in this industry, it is tough to make it, and it takes a lot of dedication. And there will be times when you feel low, but you have to figure out how to pick yourself back up, and you have to continue to push forward, and you have to be strong. Otherwise, you will never make it. And you have to realize that you have the same dream that a lot of people in this world have that same dream. So I always tell people is that when you enter every room, you have to find out what makes you different from the rest and what makes you unique, and let that stand out and let that be your driving force. Why should someone hire you over the person that is right next to you that has the same dreams, same aspirations, same hardships, same cultural background, same financial background? What makes you different?
Mm, I like that. Awesome. Well, that's about a half hour. So I'll call it there. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Of course, anytime.